Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello and welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt for all things murder, mystery, and mayhem. We've got the one and only Will Dean here with us tonight to talk all things ADRIFT. So grab your list of questions, your poison of preference, a cocktail or a mocktail, and get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Kimberly Bell. Mr. Dean.
I am I'm Killer Will Dean.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And before we dive into Will's fabulous book, a couple of quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available this Friday as a podcast with bonus content just for listeners. Find the links at killerauthorclub.com. And while you're there, make sure to sign up for our newsletter so you are the first to hear of all our killer breaking news. Also, don't miss this Thursday's Facebook takeover with Kate White in the hot seat. In case you don't know, Kate spent 14 years of her career as editor-in-chief of the iconic Cosmopolitan magazine before becoming an author. So I, for one, have tons of questions about that, as well as her new book, I Came Back for You. So make sure to pop into our Facebook group with all your burning questions. And yes, there will be giveaways, and the link is coming up in the comments. But now, Heather, would you please introduce our killer guest?
I would love to. Will Dean grew up in the East Midlands of the United Kingdom. After studying law at the London School of Economics and working in London, he settled in rural Sweden, where he built a wooden house in a vast forest, and it's from this space he compulsively reads and writes. His debut novel, Dark Pines, was selected for Zoe Ball's book club on ITV, shortlisted for the National Book Award in the UK, the Guardian's Not the Booker Prize, and was named a Telegraph Book of the Year. He is also the author of ADRIFT, The Last One, Firstborn, The Last Thing to Burn, which was shortlisted for the Theakston Old Peculiar Crime Novel of the Year, in The Chamber. Congrats, Will, and welcome to the Killer Author Club hot seat.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you. You know, I'm here in this dark, cold forest surrounded by moose and bears and things. And it's to be able to spend like half an hour with you three is wonderful. So thank you for having me.
Good. We're glad to hear that. And we are so excited to talk about ADRIFT. Could you give our viewers and listeners a little sneak peek into what this is about?
I can try. Yeah, ADRIFT is a very claustrophobic, intense thriller set on a tiny houseboat in a very rural place, all on its own. And there's a family of 3, husband, wife, and son. And this really is a story about the wife and the son, Peggy and Samson. And they're just getting on with their lives. But the husband, the father, Drew, the villain, is the most cold, manipulative, gaslighting, controlling man. He's very quietly the worst person in the world. So every time they displease him, he's an aspiring writer, I should say, and he thinks he's very good at writing. We've all met someone like this who takes himself very, very seriously. And every time they displease him or they mess up his writing routine, he moves the houseboat further and further away from civilization.
Oh, geez. Wow. Terrifying. Terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we loved it. So readers, get chatty and drop your questions for our killer guest in the comments. But first of all, Kara, what are we drinking tonight?
Okay, tonight's drink is a gin and tonic. Will, nice and simple. Please tell us why you've chosen this as your drink tonight.
I mean, I am quite simple, I think, and I don't drink either. Full disclosure, I don't drink. I think, you know, I live in the woods in the middle of, like, there's nobody else here apart from my family. So I think if I drank here, especially how, you know, considering how dark and long the winters are, it would turn into The Shining pretty quickly. So I'm drinking this is fictional gin and tonic. It's actually well water from our well, which normally is quite brown and like tastes of pine needles. So this is fictional gin and tonic. It's just water. But I like gin and tonic because it's simple. I like that aroma. It kind of feels like there's a party going to happen. And I also like the fact that it's medicinal, kind of, it kills malaria.
Yeah, so they say, right? That's
Yeah.
the excuse. Well, cheers.
Old school malaria killer. Yeah, cheers.
All right. So we created the Killer Author Club so readers like you could get up close and personal with your favorite thriller writers. This season's lineup is stacked with killers: Deborah Goodrich Royce, Sally Hepworth, Allison Wynne Scotch, Lauren Oliver, and so many more. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about Adrift. And here's what some of Will's early readers had to say. A smashing novel, pressure is building, and one can feel it gathering force, aching to explode, contained for a time only by the author Dean's way with language. That's from Booklist. Chris Whitaker of All the Colors of the Dark says, haunting, heartbreaking, quietly terrifying, unforgettable. And John Mars, who was just on the Author Club in January, says, heartbreaking, devastating, achingly beautiful, simply stunning. So, Will, clearly you are a highly skilled and terrifying killer. And now we need to know your answer to the killer question. Who do you kill?
This is such a tough question because, like, if readers of my books know, I'm not very good at killing people. Like, I generally, that's not the interesting part for me. It's all the tension and suspense that leads up to a death. So I don't kill that many people. And I think if I was to kill someone on the page or off the page, it would be probably someone who did something or looked the wrong way at a dog.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about cruelty to animals or anything like that. I'm just talking about, like, isn't nice to dogs, isn't polite to dogs. That'll be enough.
That's
yeah. That's a deeper psychopathic tendency for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. One bad look and you're
gone. I can get behind that.
I know, I like that.
So Adrift, you talked about, is set on an almost entirely on a narrow canal boat that keeps moving further and further into isolation. So it's claustrophobic. It's increasingly isolated and like really adds to that sense of impending dread. It gave me like visceral emotions as I was reading it. So where did this idea come from? Are you a boat guy?
Not particularly. Like, I always had I like the idea of tiny homes and off-grid living. I live off-grid here in a cabin in the woods that we built for ourselves. So I like simple living. I like growing my own food and like having just a very quiet hermit life. And the idea of a narrow boat living on rivers and canals always appealed to me. I've seen some videos of people doing it. It looks very tranquil, like a good place to read and write. And we can all relate to that. Sometimes it's nice to have some peace. But then one night I was just thinking about this boat, and then I saw Drew, and I just saw him not really explaining himself, but just constantly making the rest of the family's life more difficult by moving the boat away. So they have to walk further to school. They lose job interviews. They just can't live their life because he is in control of where the house is. And this idea, there's one scene in the book where the son is so upset because the mom hasn't come home yet and the dad's moved the boat. And he's like, how will mom know where we are? How will mom know where home is? So it's a very fundamental idea of where is home. Yeah, it freaked me out.
Yeah, I bet. Freaked me out.
It's really powerful. It is.
Very much so. So Drew's control over his wife, Peggy, and son Samson it's absolute. Like he rules the homestead. What was the balance you had to have between portraying this dark reality of gaslighting and emotional abuse, but still giving the readers insight to this really subtle, defiance and resilience that Peggy and Samson had?
That's such a great question. And I'm sure we all deal with this, the idea that, you need to have a protagonist who's in some kind of tough situation, but you don't want to make them a victim. You want to have them to have a lot of proactivity and them to have agency. So for me, it was all about, he was manipulating her in such a way that if the son wasn't there, she would have just left years ago. She would have taken her chances and left. But he's kind of blackmailing her. He's quite clever in his situation in terms of obliquely threatening the boy to get her to stay. And my experience within family dynamics is often that's the way to control someone. It's via somebody else. And it's a very, very horrible, powerful threat. So I wanted this to be kind of a love letter to the relationship between the mother and the son, and also that the force they have between them, the power they have between them, is always going to be more of a weapon, and it's always going to win in the end over the power that he has over them.
Though I worried there a couple of moments. I was like, oh no, is it? Yeah. Because Drew had such absolute control and was playing mind games with them.
100%. Yeah. My early readers have all said that they have either been in this situation for a brief time in their life, or they've known someone who has.
Yeah.
So that's the terrifying thing, is how common this kind of manipulation is, and this kind of gaslighting is on some level. And yeah, it really freaks me out as someone who is very independent and just likes a quiet life. The idea that you can be controlled on a domestic, where your sanctuary is supposed to be, your safe place, it just terrifies me. It scares me more than anything else, that idea of being controlled. And the fact that it happens all of the time to people, it really haunts me. Sometimes I look especially in rural settings, I look at a little house or a little cabin that's far away, and I just think, I hope everyone's okay, because you never know the stories that are out there.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it happens everywhere. It's in cities and suburbs and the rural.
Yeah.
Because, all it takes is one jerk like Drew, right? Excuse me. Okay. And the other thing I loved about Peggy was her secret novel. What a great, what a great sign of strength in her, her library volunteer work, and how she was able to carve out a little lifeline for herself. And what does that hidden intellectual escape say about her as a character?
I mean, again, I think this is something we can all relate to as writers. It's you need it. And for her especially, she needs the love of her son and those little glimpses where Drew is out of the boat. Those are such precious moments where there's just the two of them together. And then she needs her time in the library, helping the local community and them helping her. And I love that two-way thing of, intellectually and privately, she needs that solace and that privacy of being in control of her own piece of work. That's really important to her. But also just those little tender moments of someone coming into the library and her helping them, or them just giving her the time of day and not trying to control her and not trying to have something over her all the time. I love that. So the library was super important to me, and especially her boss at the library was a really important character to me. Just like someone who is just kind of looking out for you a little bit.
Who maybe senses there's something going on, but doesn't quite know all the details. Yeah.
Yeah. And is always there, just like she's quietly got her back, when it matters. Yeah. Yep. This happens in all of my books, this idea that outside of the family, there's all these, very quietly, there are people in communities looking out for each other.
Yeah.
You might never notice.
Village.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I really like that idea.
Yeah, me too. I hope there are people out in my village too. Yeah. So, Samson is a scholarship student, right? So he's smart, but he's also facing this intense bullying at school, which kind of mirrors what's going on at home, maybe in ways. So I'm assuming that was intentional. You did that to kind of hold up a mirror, or was there another thought at play?
I'm not smart enough for anything much to be intentional. It just flows out.
It was brilliant.
Well,
So are you a pantser?
Sorry?
Are you a pantser? Are you just...
not even that. I wouldn't even say I qualify as that. Just I try and visualize it all. So I see it over maybe 6 months, and it starts the fog clears and I see the key scenes, and then I just go with it.
I love
So you
that.
think it through for 6 months before you even sit behind the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly that. So I don't write any notes, but I need to see it visually.
Right.
I need to kind of, I need it to play out at least the key scenes. I need to kind of know exactly how the boat looks and feels and smells at certain times of night, certain times of the year. And then I feel like I'm immersed enough to, you know what it's like that first day when you start writing is terrifying every time.
Yeah.
That blank screen, you think this is all going to blow up and I'm going to get found out. So I need 6 months just to kind of let it solidify so that I can see it, I can feel my way around it, and then I can kind of trick myself into thinking I can do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read somewhere once that Danielle Steele does that too, that she sits and like stares at a wall and just thinks through her story for months before she writes it.
That's good to know. I didn't know that about her. I love her bus and I love her desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Right.
amazing,
Have
yeah.
you guys seen the picture of her desk? I'll have
No.
to find that and put it in the comments. But there's, it's like of all her books, right? It's like this model of her book.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear more about your research into the novel. And I know we talk about that coercive control, which I think, and I could be mistaken, I think in the UK, there is like a law against that now where people can be prosecuted for coercive control crime.
Really?
Whereas in the United States, we're not there yet. But I just think that's fascinating and really solidifies the idea of how dangerous that kind of control is. So what kind of research did you do into that mindset of someone like that who uses—
Honestly, a lot of what I rely upon is just imagination. And this is a kind of a cop-out answer. Like research, I think, is really important, and I like researching and reading first-person accounts and reading nonfiction around the subject. But it's literally getting paid to daydream in my case. Like I'm just sitting there thinking, if I was Peggy, how would I approach this? How would I try not to set him off, whilst at the same time planning my escape? And if I was Drew, and that's the really uncomfortable thing, putting yourself in his head for a little while, how would I like foil her? How would I stop her from having that autonomy or stop her from having enough money to leave? Mm-hmm. So it's basically me sitting there on that boat for 6 months. And this book took 5 years to write.
Wow. So that was going to be my next question. How long is the writing part?
Well, this is the weird thing. Sometimes if I write a thriller that's a little bit more plot driven, it'll take me less time, even though it's more complicated. And this, it's like a very linear plot. It's very simple. It's very basic, chronological novel from 2 points of view. But it took me 5 years just because I think of the emotional drain of it. Mm-hmm. I would work on it for 4 months, 5 months, then I'd need a break from it because I just hated Drew so much. Yeah. And I wanted to get away from him. And then I would come back and I would see it from Samson's point of view, and I would live through those school days, and I would need a break from that then. So yeah, I think the more emotional the book, the longer it can take sometimes.
Well, and I also think in this particular case with Drew, in order for readers to buy it, why they were still there, you had to go so gradually, right? You had to like really build it up, these things that he was doing to keep them in his grip. And that, I think, is super complicated to think through.
It's complicated, and it's so scary, just like you say, that incrementally, these little domestic tweaks and little controlling mechanisms that he comes up with, like hiding her things, just little tiny everyday things, the kind of thing that you would never expect your partner to do this, but this happens quite a lot in real life. And it's just such a twisted thing to mess with someone's psychology like that at home, where you're supposed to, like, the world is so tough, but at home you need it to be kind of safe. And yeah, like I said, that really terrified me. Sorry.
That's the whole thing too with this, is like you need to be able to find home. And when he keeps moving, I mean, it's just so terrifying. I mean, that to add that to the whole coercive control piece was really, really, really scary and brilliant, I think.
That really worried me. Like when Samson was coming home from school, he's had the worst day ever. He's been in a fight that wasn't his fault. He's got this really heavy bag. I've got a 12-year-old son, and I really kind of see the world through his eyes, and like, how heavy their bags are and how skinny they are at 11. And he's trudging along this canal, and it's like it's pouring the rain, and he hasn't had enough food, and he's trying to find his home, and his home's moved, and he knows that when he gets home, I'm making this book sound so miserable, but when he gets home, you know, it's gonna be like the fire isn't lit and there's not enough food, and it's just, I just wanted to save him. I guess we all feel like this. You just want to save them both, really. But the truth is, they save each other, which I really like. Like, it's those two saving each other.
Yeah, I like that too.
Wow. Yeah.
So the opening chapter, without like giving away anything, it reveals a traumatic event from Drew's childhood. But like, was that passage that, did this story kind of start with that, or is that something you added later to explain why this person is the way he is?
It came at the beginning, and it was just spending some time in Drew's head, like seeing what his parents were like, what his family was like, and living through that. And I think that's where his coldness came from. Like, what scared me was his reaction to that situation. A really dramatic situation. You might expect a kid to kind of break down or not to lose their bravado or their cool, but he's remained very cold. And coldness, you know, just scares the bejesus out of me. Like heat and anger and fury can be scary, but coldness and like strategic manipulation, I just can't handle it. It's the most disturbing thing.
Yeah, way scarier for sure.
So can we talk about the title, because it's a great title. It has, you know, such double meaning, obviously, with the family on the boat and their lives kind of in chaos. Where did that title come from? Did you come up with that?
You know, this is so embarrassing, but I honestly can't remember who came up with it, because there's so many to and fro's. I come up with the title. This is definitely not my original title, but this might have been my 26th title.
Right.
That after the first 25 were rejected, you know. I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was either mine or it was like me in conjunction with my editors.
Yeah. Sounds like my type of process. Titles are hard.
They're so hard.
So hard.
But when you hit the right one, like ADRIFT, then it's like, of course.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't mine, thinking back to it. It probably wasn't mine, but yeah, I love it now. I'm very happy with it now.
Yeah.
And why did you pick the US as a setting this time?
That's what I wanted to ask too.
So I just saw it. I see a story. And interestingly, with this book and this book only, I will never do this again. But the UK version is set in the UK.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So the UK version is set in like the middle of the UK, in the Midlands, where I'm from. And the US version is set like in the Midwest.
Yeah.
There are
Oh
a
my
lot of parallels
gosh.
there. There's a lot of parallels there. It's a nightmare with copy editing.
I bet.
It's basically I did the work for 2 books.
Right.
So I will not do this again. But here it just felt organic. Like when I worked on the British one, it was in Britain. And then when I worked on the American manuscript, like it was wrong to have it in Britain. Like it was, as soon as I heard their voices and the cultural touch points and the music and everything, it was like, oh, this is a slightly different book.
Yeah.
Like the same plot, but this is different.
Which one came first?
They both, like, because it was a 5-year project, they both kind of evolved organically.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it
this
was
is
your
another
idea,
reason
not
they
your
did it.
editors.
This is another reason it took 5 years, I guess.
Wow. I've never even heard of that. That's crazy.
That's great.
So
I'll never do it again. Like, it's not a good idea. It's just unnecessary double work. But like I said, when I heard the voices, it was just a slightly different setting and a different world. It was an American high school. It wasn't a British school.
Yeah.
Like, so I had to write 2 different manuscripts.
Wow. Amazing.
fascinating.
Amazing.
Wow.
That is amazing.
And lessons learned too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think you're like the master of claustrophobic books, because like this one and The Chamber, like literally just had me in a chokehold where like you can feel the world's closing in, like literally in The Chamber, and this one where they're, you know, in this open space, but they have nowhere to go. So why do you choose to use that as a theme in your books?
And should we also ask you once again about where you live?
Right.
Well, I mean, I live in a little cabin in the woods, but it's very open. Like there's a massive forest, so it feels very safe because I'm surrounded by millions of trees. And trees feel very, very safe to me. So it looks like a horror movie here.
Yeah. What about all the things that hide in trees?
They're all good things. They're all like other squirrels and stuff. It's fine.
Bears.
It feels very safe here. I promise you. It feels extremely safe. Like if I'm in New York or if I'm in Hong Kong, that's when I'm looking out for things. But here, it feels very, very, very peaceful. I trust animals very much. But claustrophobia, I think it's just, I love reading, you know, like The Shining and Room by Emma Donoghue. I'm really interested in a closed setting that's quite simple and straightforward, where you can picture it really clearly in your head as a reader. And then I think because it's quite simple and contained, you can delve deeper into the psychology of the characters. This is another reason I generally have like 2 or 3 characters or 4 characters or 5 characters. There's not a huge cast of characters, because I really like to have, and it's probably just me being, I don't know, I'm not ready to write some huge epic, sprawling epic, but I like a closed setting and a couple of characters who you get to really hopefully feel really invested in, like they're real people. That's my dream. That's what I love to read.
Love it.
It works well.
Yeah. Yeah. You do it well.
Yep. Heather, I think it's time.
Is it time? Okay, so it's giveaway time. So Will is giving away 2 copies of ADRIFT to lucky US viewers. For a chance to win, answer this question. It's a tough one, so we've made it multiple choice to give you a clue. Where does Will currently reside? A, downtown London, B, the English countryside, or C, in a wooden house in the middle of a vast forest in Sweden. How will they ever get this one? I do not know. So answer that question. Make sure you drop the comment in the comments and tell us where you're from.
Yeah, good luck. That's a tough one. The Killers are big fans of independent booksellers and want to send them all the support. Will has chosen Goldsboro Books in London. Will, can you tell us why you love this bookstore so much?
This was the hardest question of the whole night, because I love so many indie bookshops. I just think they're like, for me, indie bookshops and libraries are so special. And it's so hard for them these days. So I could have picked like 100 different ones. And also libraries. I got my, in England, we have this thing, in Britain, we have this thing where you get a statement of all your library borrows from the year before. I don't know if this is a thing in the States, but you get a tiny amount of money, like 0.00006 pence for every book borrowed. And I got my statement yesterday, and I didn't have a book out last year. I took a year off basically last year. And my statement showed that my books had been borrowed by as many people as like a good sized city in the year. And it's such a special feeling. Like, I still don't know really how people find your books or find out who you are. You know, it's such a crowded space. So to see that the people who've gone into libraries and borrowed my books was very special. But staying on track with Goldsboro Books, they're just a wonderful indie bookseller. It's like a Dickensian little street in Cecil Court in London. It feels like you could buy like a wand at the next store or something, like, or an owl or something. It's very Dickensian and twisty. And they specialize in first editions and signed books. So whenever I go in there to sign stock, every time I have a book out, I sign about 250 books for them. And I always end up making a massive loss because I buy a couple of first editions when I leave the store. They've got the best like display of books, but they deliver all over the world. They deliver to the US. They deal with a lot of book collectors. And they're very supportive of debuts, and they're just brilliant. They host authors for book events. When you guys are in London, they're really, really like welcoming and wonderful, and they'll be so happy to see you. So it's just a great indie bookstore.
Killer Author Club's going to go to Goldsboro.
I know. Now I want to go.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be dropping the link in the comments for UK viewers and the bookshop.org link for the rest of you guys, so you can order ADRIFT along with any others on your wish list.
I know. And I might go check out their first editions.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Yeah.
So obviously the Killers love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading in our Facebook group, post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. Tonight, though, we want to know, Will, what are you currently reading?
But more importantly, I love your dog, and I wish my dog was here with me. But yeah,
She's
what a
a
beautiful
sweetie.
dog. I'm reading. I started a new book yesterday, and I'm not a super fast reader, so I may be like 10% into it, and I'm loving it. It's by Liz Nugent, who's an Irish author, and it's called The Truth About Ruby Cooper.
Oh.
And she's so good on like quirky characters and strong openings, and it's one of those books where I'm hooked already. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, she's great. I've read her before, her first one, and I can't remember what it was called, but
Oliver or something.
Yeah, exactly.
She's great.
She is.
Yeah.
Good. Well, while we're at it, we have 2 more fabulous new releases we want to celebrate tonight. First up is Lucian by J.R. Thornton. Lucian is an incendiary literary work about a gifted artist on financial aid at Harvard who falls victim to the manipulative control of his wealthy roommate. Complicated, toxic friendship and dark academia at its best. And we also have She Fell Away by Lenore Nash. A State Department diplomat must confront the ghosts of her past as she searches for a missing American woman in New Zealand in this pulse-pounding and unputdownable thriller. So we've got 3 copies of Lucian and 5 copies of She Fell Away to give away to lucky U.S. viewers. Comment if you'd like to be entered into those giveaways and tell us where you're from. Good luck. And because we are all about shamelessly plugging our own murdery fun, don't miss the Killer's latest reads. Kara's got We Were Never Friends, a sorority reunion that takes a very dark turn.
And speaking of deadly parties, Heather's serving up the perfect hosts, an over-the-top gender reveal party that explodes in more ways than one.
And Kimberly's taking you on a deadly European getaway in the expat affair, 2 Americans, the glittery diamond trade, and danger in Amsterdam.
And we also want a big, Kara, sorry.
You can go ahead. We both would like to thank the book reporter for helping to share our shows. And everybody should check out thebookreporter.com for bookish events and more. Oh, and Will, we have great news for you. You have survived the Killer Author Club.
Thank you.
It was close, and I know there's a lot of trees around you, but we wanted you to have our secret badge, and you are now officially an alumni of the Killer Author Club. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. And can I just say, I love how professional your backgrounds are.
Thanks.
It's amazing that you write such great books, and that you do this, and that you have such professional backdrops. I had an interview earlier today, and the person said, "Are you like in a closet under the stairs?" That's exactly what this looks like. So I need to up my game.
It kind of matches your cabin theme.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're right on theme.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget that Killer Kate White will be taking over our Facebook page group this Thursday with tons of fun and giveaways. Join us right back here in 2 weeks on March 31st when the one and only Deborah Goodrich Royce will be here to talk about her fantastic new novel, Mad Mabel. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. For Time's upcoming schedule, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Time's upcoming schedule and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com.